Shalom. I'm pretty sure you could tell that I made all these videos in the same night. Oh well. So this is going to be kind of like the one before it. Are you serious? This is not going to be one that has really any scripture. Except I was supposed to look that scripture up. But this is just a revelation that Ruach HaKodesh had given me a while ago, and he was just talking about how we are to come to him as the little children. Okay, and it seems like every time I'm trying to use this phone, very quickly it decides that it wants to do whatever it wants to. I don't know. Have you guys been having problems with your devices? Like I know this is just way off topic, but my cell phone has just been going completely bonkers lately. Okay. So, give me a second. That is not how you spell that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Matthew or Mattit'yahu 18:3. Da da dum 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 dum. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna start at verse 1 of Mattit'yahu 18. It says, "At that time the Talmudim came to Yeshua, saying, 'Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?' Then Yeshua called a little child to him and set him in the midst of them, and said, 'Assuredly I say to you, unless you are converted and become as little children, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me.'" So I want to focus on where he says, "Assuredly I say to you, unless you are converted and become as little children, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself as this little child." Okay, so that's what Ruach HaKodesh was talking to me about, and that is Mattit'yahu 18 verses 1 to 3, verses 1 to 5, verses 1 to 5. It'll be in the description, so it's all right. But anyway, so I started thinking about children, just in general, and this is what I got. So as children ask questions to gain understanding. That's where you get the infamous why. They ask you a question, you give them an answer, then they ask you why. You answer that question, they have it's like they have a plethora of why questions, like it's never ending. But here's the thing, it's good because you don't learn unless you ask questions. I mean, we're supposed to do that now. Like, if you're sitting in a Bible study and someone says da 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 yada yada yada, you're supposed to say why. Like, if you don't understand, you're supposed to ask questions to gain clarity. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You're supposed to ask your the same thing. Ask them questions to gain clarity. Now don't try to like buck on him, like we did as teenagers, how we tried to, come up against our parents. Don't do that. That's why he said little children, the way a little child does. Ask permission. I know as a child, I had to ask permission to go outside. I had to ask permission to go in the refrigerator. I had to ask permission for dang near everything I did. I do have some friends. I love y'all if you watching. Do have some friends just let their kids just go and do whatever. No, not in my household, not growing up, and not with my son. I don't let him do that. You gotta ask me. Why? Because I need you to get used to authority. Not that I want you to fear me or I want to hold something over your head, but when you get out there in the world, you're going to have restraints. If I don't put restraints on you in this household, you're going to get out into that world and you're going to wind up in a world of trouble because you're going to think you can just do whatever you want, have whatever you want, and folks is going to tell you no, and you're going to be like, wait, no. So you need to hear me tell you no now. They ask advice to gain wisdom / guidance. So when they start to get a little bit older, and by a little bit, I mean they're like 8 or 9. You know what I'm saying? Because once they start heading towards the teen years, they don't care about what you got to say. But they ask, they ask for advice to gain wisdom or knowledge. They obey. So this goes back to asking permission. If you ask permission and I say you got to obey, which is a form of listening. If you were listening to what I said, you show it by obeying what I told you to. And understand this: there's a difference between hearing and listening. So a lot of folks be hearing Yahuwah, but they don't be listening. Okay? Because here's the thing. If you were to completely tune out all the words that I'm saying right now and be looking off into the distance somewhere, you would still hear my voice. But you wouldn't know what I was saying because you weren't listening. You feel me? That's the reason why you might say something and the person that you was talking to will say, huh? They say, huh, because their brain recognized that there was words coming out of your mouth. There was a sound that you was making, but they weren't listening, so they didn't hear what you said. Okay? And that's very necessary for when we're heeding warnings and following instructions. And here's the thing. Warnings aren't always because you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it's something that's coming that's meant to try to take you out on your path of righteousness. I remember not too long after my son was born, I was traveling down a road near my mom's house. I can't remember where I was headed to, but it was dark. And at the time, she did live in like a country area. So, it was chances of having deer, and it was a very windy country road, and it was dark, like I said. And usually I got lead foot. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I mean, I got lead foot, but I'm a very great driver because I'm very cautious. I drive for other people. Anyway, I turned onto this road. And I started to speed up, and I literally heard Ruach HaKodesh say, deer. So I instantly, applied my brakes, thinking there was a deer about to roll out. No deer came, but I proceeded with caution. Probably about 3 miles down the road, I feel myself going, well, I ain't seen no deer. So just as I was about to speed back up, a deer ran across the street in front of me. And I remember, I used to fly down this road like a bat out of hell, no lie. And I'm talking about even at nighttime, this was nighttime too. If I had been going even close to the speed that I normally go at, we would have totaled the car, and my son probably wouldn't have made it because he was a fresh baby, fresh. And ain't no telling, I might not have made it depending on how bad the accident was. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, I heard the warning 3 miles back. You know what I'm saying? Some of us hear a warning. We hear a warning, but we don't heed it because, he said this is going to happen. It ain't happened yet. I mean, take the second death. The second death was prophesied through John how many thousands of years ago? And it ain't happened yet. So a lot of folks have stopped heeding that warning because they feel like, it ain't happened. It ain't going to happen. No, you need to obey. Then confessing. Here's something that a lot of little children don't do. I wish my son was one of them that did. But there are some children that they'll confess to you what they did because some of them really just don't care. So it's I broke it. And you know what I'm saying? But they confess. It's a form of intimacy. When you can sit down with your parents and be like, yeah, I know I wasn't supposed to, eat that piece of candy. You told me not to, and I ate it anyway. I'm sorry. Which goes into my next point of conversing. A healthy parent-child relationship should be one where there's a lot of conversation. I sit and have a lot of conversations. As a matter of fact, when we're laying in bed and about to go to sleep, that's when I have a whole lot of conversation with my son. We sit and have we have talks before we go to bed. Because I want him to know that he can talk to me. I'm still his mom. I'm not your friend. I'm not your best friend. I'm your mom, but you can still talk to me. And then walking with closely. You go to the store. It's, I used to live in Atlanta, which is the #1 city for human trafficking. And folks was literally snatching babies out of people's arms. So if my son was with me at the store, I made him walk as closely to me as possible, because the closer he was to me, the easier it would be for me to, I'm going to put it to you the way, the easier it would be for me to judo chop somebody trying to take him from me. You know what I'm saying? I don't play by my baby now. But the closer that person, he was to me, the closer the person would have to get to me to get him, which means I would be close enough to break your neck. You feel me? But all of that is wrapped up in intimacy. If you're intimate with a person, you are confessing, conversing, and walking closely with them. Waiting. Your child ever asks you something, you be like, wait, because you're doing something. You might be in the middle of doing something. They be like, Mama, can I have a chocolate ice cream? Now, mind you, in this house, you don't get nothing without permission. So, wait a minute. You got to wait. You know what I'm saying? Or it just might be that you know that if they have it right then, it might not benefit them. It might have some type of effect on it. I don't know. Like, for instance, if you take your child swimming and then immediately afterwards they want to... No, I'm sorry. If you feed your child something to eat and then immediately afterwards they want to go swimming, well, your response to them would be wait, because you're supposed to wait at least an hour after you eat before you go swimming. Now, the child might not understand that, but you understand that. So in that case, your child would have to wait, or they suffer the consequences of not obeying. Being respectful, manners. I try to teach my son to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, and I don't care about none of that. Oh, this is a slave thing. Like, all that stuff, go right out the window. My dad is ex-military. My brother is current military. All my uncles are ex-military. I have cousins that are currently in the military. Like, I have a military family. You say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. You have manners. You open the door for people. You wave. You acknowledge people when they acknowledge you. Sometimes you could do it first. But yeah, you respect them. If Yahuwah starts talking to you, you going to ignore him because you're mad? I mean, I know some of you will. But, I mean, it's not respectful. As a little child respects authority. Loving. Oh, okay. My son, I love his heart. Sometimes he just walks over to me and he'll take my hand, kiss it. I love you, Mom. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's such a pure love. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids are not racist. Kids see other kids. They don't see other colors. You know what I'm saying? So, the unconditional love of a child, oh my word. And like I said, these are all the different ways that we're supposed to be coming to our Heavenly Father, okay? Defending, I guess we're supposed to defend the parent, or the parent defends us. I don't know why I wrote that. But moving on to the next point, a child relies on their parent for everything. The parent is the provider. They have complete dependency on the child. They have to have, on the parent. They have to have faith that that parent is going to take care of them. Now, of course, we know in a perfect world that would be true, but we know the fallen world that we live in, there are some parents that don't take care of their kids. So you have, all kinds of, that's where CPS comes in. But we're not talking about those cases. We're talking about the case where you have a good, loving, healthy parents and their children. So the child relies on the parent for everything: food, clothing, shelter. And anything in between those things, anything extra outside of those things. So the child completely depends. Like, my 4-year-old does not have a job. So if he needs any of those things, I got to provide it for him. I mean, granted, it is Yahuwah that's providing it for him through me, but my whole point is he ain't doing it himself. Manasseh. Then gratitude. One of the things that I had to get on to my son about a lot, in the past, was he wouldn't say thank you. Folks give him something, he wouldn't say thank you. But you got to have gratitude, because You have a loving parent that is taking care of you. You have grandparents, aunts, uncles that take care of you. And you got kids out there that don't have that. They eating out of trash cans. My son, he prays over his food. He prays before he goes to bed now. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to show him to have gratitude. But little kids supposed to be grateful for the things they have. You know what I'm saying? That's how we're supposed to approach Abba Yah as well. And then in humility / submission. Okay? To submit yourself is to humble yourself. The child has to submit themselves to the authority of the parent. That is a way of humbling themselves. So I just sat and I studied how my son is with me, and it gave me a better understanding. Kind of like how Hosea, through his marriage with Gomer, he was able to get a glimpse of how Abba Yah feels towards his children every time they stray from him and go after their lovers, which are the idol gods. You know what I'm saying? Same way, we do. But I kind of feel the same way now when I view my relationship to my son, and I see, sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like right now what I'm dealing with is I tell him not to do something, and literally 2 minutes later he's doing the same thing he just got in trouble for doing, and then he's looking at me like he doesn't understand why he's getting in trouble. Like, dude, we just had this conversation. Like, is your memory that short term that you don't, he literally today just got his tablet back from me taking it. Like, he hasn't had his tablet for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it just really helped me to see how it is Abba Yah deals with us. And when Yeshua told us that we're supposed to be like little children when we enter into the kingdom, his exact words, unless you are converted and become as little children, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom. So, if Abba Yah is truly your father, if he's truly your Abba, then you'll come to him the same way you did your parents when you were a physical child. After all, you are born again. So if you're born again, you go through the same process spiritually in your new birth spiritually that you did in your physical birth. The same way you were born into this flesh, into this sinful flesh, into this sinful fallen world, you have to be born again into the kingdom of Yahuwah. You have to relearn how to talk, how to think, how to walk, all that stuff. How to submit, how to obey, how to listen. Every single thing you had to learn as a child, you have to relearn when you're born again. Okay, but that's it. And I'm still doing good. Look, these videos, straight to the point. Somebody must have prayed about it. All right. I love y'all.